and your nose for the entire service. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lakeland. My name is Sandy Persons, and I am a new/returning member of this congregation. I use the pronouns she, her. We are glad you are here, whether in person or virtually. UUCL is a thriving community, and whatever your gender identity, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, abilities, or theological beliefs, you're welcome here. We would love to get to know you better, so please join us after the service on the patio, or if on Zoom, please say hello through the chat feature. We publish a newsletter, it contains a lot of information. May I take this off?
Absolutely.
Thank you. We publish a newsletter, please read it, and if you haven't signed up for it, please sign up. I think we're back to you.
Special notes. Excuse me. Today is the service auction, so please feel free to stay afterwards and have some fun with us, bid on some good items and some great services and trips to take, places to go, fun to have. Also, next week is our milk and cookie communion. So please bake or buy your favorite cookie and bring it in, and we will have a joyful time together in our worship service. And we'll have the milk and cookie communion on the patio, and we'll also be decorating some chalice ornaments that Melissa is making. And one more thing, like Sandy said, please check that newsletter. Christmas Eve plans are in the works, but because of the new strain of COVID, things might change. And so we have a plan, but we might have to change it at the last minute. So just keep reading that newsletter. Thank you. I would also just like to take a moment to give a big thank you to our choir and our music director. They work very hard. Thank you, Adam and Petra and Joshua and Mark Gasky and Glenda. And who am I missing? Nancy.
We got Judy.
And Judy. They work hard to bring us music. Recording is a totally different thing than singing live, and so this whole pandemic has been just a different kind of music experience, and I'm so grateful for the way that they've been able to bring it together. Thank you.
This is Mindful by Mary Oliver. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight. It leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, but the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. Okay. Just as our congregations across the country and even around the world are lighting their chalices this morning, so will we light ours and create sacred space. Today, our chalice lighter is Keno Hicks. a spark, and we anticipate the warmth of fire, a warm fire and a circle of friends. We set our intentions to connect with one another in love, to bring peace and gratitude to our lives. With the lighting of this chalice and the warmth of this flame, may our hearts open to this joy. Please join us in singing the Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Lost. This is the hour that we gather to contemplate the mysteries of life and to feel the gratitude of being able to approach this holy task together. We gather around the flame of our chalice, a symbol that holds so much in its warm and brilliant flame: hope, love, peace, and joy. Our spiritual explorations for December are leading us on a journey of opening up to joy. What is joy? Is it something that happens to us, something we find, or something that we become? Today, we will open up to joy by deepening our understanding of what it is and how to get in touch with it. Today, we will find joy together.
This is the second Sunday of the Advent season. No, it's the third Sunday of the Advent season. A season of waiting for the light to return, a season in which we hope for a world filled with more peace. This week, I invite you to pledge to work for that most rare of things, peace on earth, as we light our Advent candle.
In this holiday season, may we find peace inside ourselves. May we be peace for those around us. And may we renew our commitment to bring peace with justice to our community and the world. May we be peace.
Let us turn now to honor the weaving of joys and sorrows that run throughout our lives, throughout all lives, throughout the web of life and love. It's with a heavy heart that I would like to let you all know that our member Ann Kierton's son passed away last week. So please keep her in your love and your thoughts. If you know Ann, please try to get in touch with her. And if you need me to help you figure out how to get in touch with her, let me know. We invite you up to the chalice table to light candles for hope, love, peace, and joy. If you are on Zoom, we will say your name and light a candle for you so that we know that you are here with us and you know that we are together. If you do not want your name said, please say so in the chat. Nancy Morse, and Marilyn and Jesse Crossan.
Oh, come, day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here. And dawn in every broken soul as vision that can see the whole.
Let me tell you a story. The Rebirth of the Sun, from Circle Round by Starhawk and Diane Baker and Ann Hill. Circle round and I'll tell you a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter and the sun had grown very old. All year long the sun had worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers, the grasses, so they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon and the 8 other whirling planets as they traveled around and around and around until the poor sun was dizzy watching it all. Now the poor sun could barely make it up in the morning, and after a very short time needed to sleep again. So the days grew shorter, and the nights grew longer, until the day was so short it was hardly worth getting up for. Night felt sorry for the sun. "Come to my arms and rest, child," she said. "After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe." So night wrapped her great arms around the sun, and the night was very long indeed. "Why does the dark go on so long?" asked children all over the earth. "Won't the sun ever come back again?" "The sun is very tired," the old one said. "But maybe if you children say, 'Thank you for all the things the sun does for us,' the light may return in the morning." The children sang songs to the sun. They thought about all the things the sun gave them. "Thank you for growing the lettuces and the corn and the rice and the wheat," they said. Thank you for growing the trees of the forests and the seaweed in the oceans and the krill that feeds the whales. Thank you for stirring the air and making winds that bring the rain. Every time a child said thank you, the sun began to feel a little warmer, a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At last, the children had to go to bed. We will stay up and wait for the sun to rise again, the old one said. Can't we stay up too, the children asked. You can try, but you will get too sleepy, the old one said. But you can each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the sun's fire. Put your candle in a very safe place and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise. So the children lit their candles and put them in very safe places, and each flame was a little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeped out from between the arms of night and saw all the little fires and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children. Together, they climbed a high hill and faced to the east, the direction of sunrise. They sang songs to the sun and ran around trying to keep warm. They waited and waited to see what dawn would bring. The sky began to turn from black to indigo to blue. Slowly, the sky grew light. A golden glow crept over the horizon. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of brightness, the sun appeared new and strong and shining. For in the long night, the sun had rested well and grown young from the songs and the thank yous from the children. Young as a brand new baby, born out of night once more. Everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down. The sun has returned, the sun is reborn, the people cried, and they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and then went home to breakfast.
Oh come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart give cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within us, love to dwell. Oh come, your splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to night. Oh come and turn all hearts to peace, that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as truth to dwell. Oh come, you day spring, come come, you wisdom from on high, from depths that wide none aside, to temper knowledge with our care, to render every act a prayer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as hope to dwell.
Thank you, Petra.
Beautiful. Even a wounded world is needing us. Even a wounded world holds us, giving us moments of wonder and joy. I choose joy over despair, not because I have my head in the sand, but because joy is what the earth gives me daily, and I must return the gift.
Oh, come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to might. Wall Kimmerer's quote that Petra just read about joy in a wounded world embodies the verse of this Advent hymn. Both pieces embody the both ands of life. We can be witness to a wounded world, and we can open up to joy at the same time. In fact, as I believe is suggested in these words, it is essential that we open up to joy in order to heal this wounded world. Without knowing joy, where is our motivation to act justly?
But what is joy?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Because joy, you see, may not be as simple as its dictionary definition. Merriam-Webster simply defines joy as a feeling of great happiness. Can I disagree with the dictionary? The thing is, equating joy with happiness simplifies our experiences, thus hindering deeper self-reflection and awareness of who, why, and how we are. There are important depths and nuances to our emotions that can help us move towards more peace, more hope, and more love. But we need to pay attention to them. After all, as Adrienne Marie Brown says, what we pay attention to grows. Listen to some statements about joy and happiness that I've collected from around the web. I will pause after I say them so that you can think of how they relate to moments in your life. Think about clearly defining what you felt and how you relate to happiness and joy. So for example, when I hear, joy is in the heart and happiness is on the face, I think about how I watch the birds in the mornings. I feel a sense of joy because they are coming to my feeder with food that I put in there for them, and they are bathing in the water that I refresh for them daily. I am happy, and a smile appears on my face when the blue jay shakes and squawks in the water. Your turn. Joy is in the heart. Happiness is on the face. Think about those moments in your life when there's joy or happiness. Joy transcends. Happiness reacts. Joy is a practice and a behavior. It's deliberate and intentional. Happiness Don't worry, rejoice. Happiness is a balm. Don't worry, be happy. Happiness is pursued, but joy is chosen. Happiness is a solid, and joy a liquid. And if you know who said that, you might get a prize at the end of it. Happiness is an emotional response. Joy comes from within and is enduring no matter the circumstances. Joy is of the soul. Happiness is of the moment. Joy runs deep and overflows, while happiness hugs hello. Happiness is a sort of atmosphere you can live in sometimes when you're lucky. Joy is a light that fills you with hope and faith and love. Happiness is an outward expression of elation. Joy is an inward peace and contentment. Do you feel like you're opening up to joy yet? If you are one that needs the cold, hard facts of science before you can believe all this emotional stuff that I'm talking about, don't worry, I got you. In fact, research in neuroscience has found that joy activates different systems than happiness does. Happiness activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is associated with excitement, energy, and activity. Joy activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes feelings of peace and calm. The experience of joy is associated with an increase in energy as well as an increase in confidence and self-esteem. The American Psychological Association has an extensive definition of joy, unlike the dictionary definition, even breaking joy down into two different kinds. They say that joy is a feeling of extreme gladness, delight, or exaltation of the spirit arising from a sense of well-being or satisfaction. The feeling of joy may take two forms, passive and active. Passive joy involves tranquility and a feeling of contentment with things as they are. Active joy involves a desire to share one's feelings with others. It is associated with more engagement of the environment than is passive joy. The distinction between passive and active joy may be related to the intensity of the emotion, with active joy representing the more intense form. Both forms of joy are associated with an increase in energy and feelings of confidence and self-esteem. In the late 1990s, in fact, a whole branch of psychology was born out of a call to study the positive emotions of humans. Psychologist Craig Lambert wrote in Harvard Magazine, "A watershed moment arrived in 1998 when University of Pennsylvania psychologist Martin Seligman urged psychology to turn toward understanding and building the human strengths to complement our emphasis on healing damage." That speech launched today's positive psychology movement. Though not denying humanity's flaws, the new track of positive psychologists recommends focusing on people's strengths and virtues as a part of departure. Rather than analyze the psychopathology underlying alcoholism, for example, positive psychologists might study the resilience of those who have managed a successful recovery. Instead of viewing religion as a delusion and a crutch, as did Freud, they might identify the mechanisms through which a spiritual practice like meditation enhances mental and physical health. Their lab experiments might seek to define not the conditions that induce depraved behavior, but those that foster generosity, courage, creativity, and laughter. Joy is enduring. Joy can share space with other emotions like sadness, fear, anger, even unhappiness. For example, there are mornings when I go out to my deck to watch the birds and drink my coffee, and I am grumpy. But joy still remains in my heart as I watch them flitter around competing for the peanut suet. Some mornings, if I'm grumpy enough, I may find it hard to smile. That's because happiness doesn't share space very well with other emotions. Happiness isn't present with its antithesis. Evolutionarily speaking, there's a reason for that. Psychologist Raphael Uber states, we are not designed to be consistently happy. Instead, we are designed to survive and reproduce. These are difficult tasks. So we are meant to struggle and to strive, to seek gratification and safety, and to fight off threats and avoid pain. The model of competing emotions offered by coexisting pleasure and pain fits our reality much better than the unachievable bliss that the happiness industry is trying to sell us. In fact, pretending that any degree of pain is abnormal or pathological will only foster feelings of inadequacy and frustration. I don't know what evolutionary significance my early morning grumpiness holds. I've never been a morning person. But the joy that lives in my heart does slowly awaken me and remind me that life, in all its woundedness, is still something to be grateful for. Joy brings meaning to life. Joy brings life to life. All this talk about brain science, and one might think it's all in our heads. I'm not one to believe, however, in the dualism of mind and body, or that our intellect and brain function is somehow separate from our emotions and our body. Science also shows inextricable links between our physical health, pain, and our feelings and emotions. Jenny talked last week about the heart chakra. Now, I don't claim to know a whole lot about chakras, but I do know what my experience tells me. I suffered through a very long, unhealthy marriage. I felt it in my chest. Over the years, the feeling got worse, like a big heavy rock was just sitting there right in the middle of my chest, making me sick. But 5 years post-marriage, the rock is gone. What's even better, when I sit and watch those birds, there's a feeling of lightness. And as time goes on, I'm learning to identify that feeling more and more with a deep contentment, peace, and joy. Opening to joy requires a certain condition of your heart. What emotional condition is your heart in? Joy can even be born from suffering. Just ask the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. They wrote a book called The Book of Joy, in which they outline 8 pillars of joy. These are the conditions we need in our heart, they say, or the values that we deliberately practice in order to open up to joy. They are perspective, humility, humor, acceptance, forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and and generosity. These values seem to have something to do with giving to others and to life. They give that transcendent quality to joy rather than just the reaction of happiness. When you put these values into action, shaping the condition of your heart, you recognize that the thing that is larger than yourself, that synergy that creates life, that love plus connection equals transformation. Being a kind and compassionate human goes a long way toward filling yourself with joy. I think many of you experience that. It's why you work so hard for this community and for our social justice projects. But not every moment of your experiences in this work is happy, but the joy of it is known to you, and it increases as you put your values into action. Let's return to the Wall Kimmerer quote that Petra read. She stated that the earth gives her joy, and that she returns that joy. Perhaps then we should spend more time with the earth, opening up to joy. I believe that we are of the earth. Everything is nature. So when we engage that act of joy and are looking to return the joy to the earth, that can happen in a myriad of ways.
Our eyes, above all those misused, overstrained eyes of modern man, can be, if only we are willing, an inexhaustible source of pleasure. When I walk to work in the morning, I see many workers who have just crawled sleepily out of bed, hurrying in both directions, shivering along the sidewalk. Most of them walk fast, their eyes on the pavement, or at most on the clothes and faces of passers-by. Heads up, dear friends! The high value put upon every minute of time, the idea of hurry, hurry is the most important objective in living, is unquestionably the most dangerous enemy of joy. I would simply like to reclaim one old and, alas, quite unfashionable private formula. Moderate enjoyment is double enjoyment. And do not overlook the little joys. A tree, or at least a considerable section of sky, can be seen anywhere. It doesn't even have to be a blue sky. In some way or another, the light of the sun always makes itself felt. Accustom yourself every morning to look for a moment at the sky, and suddenly you will be aware of the air around you, the scent of the morning freshness that is bestowed on you between sleep and labor. You will find every day that the gable of every house has its own particular look, its own special lighting. Pay it some heed if you will have for the rest of the day a remnant of satisfaction and a touch of coexistence with nature. Gradually, and without effort, the eye trains itself to transmit many small delights.
We opened our worship of joy today with Mary Oliver's poem, Mindful, in which she wrote, "Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in a haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation." And we heard a story in which the children said thank you to the sun, and joy was increased exponentially. So let us practice this sort of gratitude and opening up to joy. invite you now into an opportunity for joy spotting and gratitude. Right here. If you have a camera, take it out. If you don't, you can pair up with someone who does. We're going to capture your joy and the things you are grateful for in pictures. It can be the person next to you. It can be the decorations. It can be yourself. You can even open up the door and go outside. Just don't wander away too far. What are you grateful for and what brings you joy? And then put it on social media, or you can email it to me and I'll put it up if you'd like. You can joy bomb our Facebook page. So I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minutes to take pictures or to watch other people take pictures, whatever brings you joy and gratitude. And then when the musicians start making their noise, come on back in and we'll finish up the service. All right. Go ahead. You're all so noisy coming in, I figured it wouldn't be a problem to get you out. And if you're on Zoom, feel free to take a picture and send it in.
Am I in your way?
No, I'm trying to not get the TV, basically.
Where are we sending these to?
I see you.
Me or, well, I know you're not going to send it to me.
Joe, who came in? Who came in?
participating. Hopefully you found some gifts of beauty, gifts of silliness, gifts of joy. This is the the moment that we can now share our treasures. But first, I'd like to say thank you. Because remember, gratitude is one of those conditions of the heart that opens us to joy. I want to say thank you to the person that actually made the plates we are about to pass. Bob Persons, who wasn't feeling well enough to be with us today, but is Sandy's husband, and she will pass along our gratitude, actually made the plates. He carved them out of wood. He's a wood carver. And before the pandemic and before they moved up north, they gave us the plates, and then we shut down and they kind of sat for a while. So we are just overjoyed to be able to use them now. They're beautiful. And with that, we will take up our offering and share our gifts. Thank you.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow, the snow. Oh, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright. And may all your Christmases be white.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I said I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write.
May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright. And may all your Christmases be white.
That was awesome, y'all.
It was fun, too.
It looks like it. Well, it is time to open our box. I can't wait. What do you think's in there this week?
A cat.
You can't guess. A cat. Oh, a cat. Let's see. No, not a cat. Wait.
Schrodinger's hat?
No, but it sure does smell good. Mmm. Oh, delight. It's evergreen. And everyone gets to take one home. That is a smell of joy. In my
Tree?
book. A Christmas tree. An evergreen tree.
Passing them out.
Yes, please. Petra will pass them out. Feel free to take one, enjoy it, smell it. Remember, joy comes to us in all of our senses. And while Petra is passing them out, we will say our liturgy, our responsive reading. Your response is: the conditions of our hearts open us up to joy. We live in a wounded world.
The conditions of our hearts Open us up to joy.
Yet there is much delight to be found.
The conditions of our hearts. Open us up to joy.
When we approach the world with humility, forgiveness, and gratitude, joy is multiplied.
The conditions of our hearts. Open us up to joy.
Begin with the joy we receive from the universe, from which we are made by receiving the gifts of the senses, the sights, the textures, the sounds, the tastes, the smells.
The conditions of our hearts. Open us up to joy.
And expand the gifts of joy you find through your compassion and generosity towards others.
The conditions of our hearts. Open us up to joy.
May it be so. Oh, come, day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here, and dawn in every broken soul as vision that can see the whole.
Please. Please join me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.